Greetings and salutations yet again, Earthlings. And so it is Valentine's Day. And I'm flowing in my day. And it's been interesting thus far. Being reminded of the cyclical things. And I'm wearing my warm, comfy cozy that my mommy left for me. Sergeant Major's wife. Snuggled up. And I've just been reminded of cyclical things. Like about, the tough things that each of us went through, generational wise. Like what my mama went through. She was raised during the Great Depression. And her daddy, the alcoholism was pretty bad, from what I understand. I don't know much about those people, but that's the side of the family that the Black Dutch generated. That part of Kentucky that's considered the Black Dutch of Mama's people. And that's where she came from. And yeah, it was not a good situation. The women, I guess he spent time in prison and stuff, from what I understand. And it was the moonshine that he drank was, you never know what some of them put in that stuff. And sometimes they would have to lock them in the corn crib so that they could go to work and get enough to eat, for everybody to eat. And the ones that was too young to go, well, they were left behind to stay at the house and cook and clean and see to the other ones. And if he got out of that corn crib or wherever. Anyway. Yeah. But my papa's people, my papa, who was a Gemini, and he was the one that always, he couldn't read, but he could cipher in his head quicker than anybody could on a calculator, as far as I know. And he always talked about the big I and the little U. The big I, when somebody's doing that big I, I'm important and you are not. Watch them. He was not a man of very many words, my papa. He was the one that loved his wrestling. And my goodness, he really did want to offend him, tell him it was fake. He loved his wrestling. And that's where I watched I loved Ricky Steamboat and Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and Nature Boy. Woo! Andre the Giant. All those. That was wonderful. And my other grandfather was both of them coal miners. My Uncle Mike, who I was reminded of, the tow truck driver the other day that brought me and Sergeant Major home. That tow truck driver, if I could talk, that tow truck driver absolutely looked like my Uncle Mac, but smaller version of him. Younger version of him. My Uncle Mike was in the Army in Vietnam. I don't know what all he got into over there, but I know when he come back. And him and my Aunt Mona got together, and my cousin Tracy was created. He had what was considered something aloe vera disease. I have to ask Mama. But it had to do with the nervous system, and anyway, I don't know what he got in over there. into over there. But my cousin Tracy was never right. He never had. He started to walk and he would fall into stuff. And they all looked at them like they were abusing that baby. And they weren't. He couldn't function nerve-wise. It affected his nervous system. And I really believe it was because of what he got into in Vietnam over there. And somebody needs to be accountable for it, and they're not. My family suffered greatly in a lot of ways because of the Vietnam conflict. And I was conceived from Mom and Dad both being contaminated by Camp Lejeune, and then whatever Dad got into when he was in Vietnam as well. And then I grew up on base, around base. What time Dad wasn't at Cherry Point the 5 years, we were always at Camp Lejeune until he got out in 87, which is when I was supposed to graduate high school, but I had already quit high school. That's when Dad went to Okinawa and things went down, and Mom was having a tough time, and we got into the river as much as possible when she wasn't working at Standardine because we wasn't getting BAQ. It was tough. It was weird. It wasn't just Mom that was not getting BAQ. They were switching stuff over bank-wise, and it was a new age of stuff coming online and switching over. And y'all gotta think, because the time that Dad was in, computers were just coming into being. And they were using old telephone lines, old conduits, transmitters. And then when I married my first husband, who was in the Air Force, fiber optics was coming online. That's what stuff was being switched over. So the way of communicating was changing universally. Anyway, and that's what my first husband was in. So my dad was an electrical engineer, and then my husband was also an engineer as well. Cryptographic maintenance and installation. Anyway, and it's no secret, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. That is not disclosing any information that's open to the public. That's the truth. Anyway. Alright, so what was I being reminded of? Oh, I was being reminded of the way that I feel that everything went down. The hard lessons being Sergeant Major's wife, who had to be strong enough to hold the fort down when my dad wasn't around, because we never knew what was going to go down. Y'all got to understand what was going on in the world. I mean, he had that bug-out bag packed in the closet for a reason. We never knew when he came in where he had to go, if he was coming back. Because he was privy to information behind the scenes that we do not know. You got officers. It's a different echelon of military. And then you got enlisted. And Sergeant Major's the highest that you can get enlisted without being an officer. Officers are usually those of the upper echelon that have been given a college education. They come from a different class of anyway. And my dad, kind of like an AC/DC type of thing. Applied science. Dad, the Sergeant Major, the way that I feel that those low totem pole, the enlisted that are ground up, they're usually used as cannon fodder, latrine diggers, things like that. They learn from the ground up, whereas the officers usually go into more cushy jobs, the overseeing of stuff. They really don't have an understanding. A lot of those officers don't have the actual applied hands-on understanding of what those guys go through. They're on a whole different spectrum, I would say. Alright, so anyway, Sergeant Major's wife. Mom's mom was of the age that when you got married, you stay married. That was that. Good, bad, or otherwise, no matter what the husband did, you stay married no matter what. It was worse to be divorced or whatever, or to be pregnant out of wedlock or whatever. I don't know. But I know that my mom was one of those that the rules didn't really apply to her. Very strong-willed. And her and my mom all butted heads. Mom would try to go back home when things got bad between her and Dad, because when he come back from Vietnam, the post-traumatic stress disorder and the alcohol did not go well hand in hand. And Mom would take so much and try to come home. So, there was more peace truly when Dad was gone. Sometimes. But anyway, when he was home, sometimes it was like living through World War III. But they found ways of fishing and doing things together, or hanging out at the staff club. They found ways because they really were best friends in a lot of ways. They really were. They really, in a lot of ways, they were a good team. They really were. The way that we went, working with the cars and stuff and the boys, and helping each other to get the boys interested in stuff like that. Helping us as a family to get interested in fishing. She'd get out there and run with Dad. She'd get out there. They would do archery together. They would compete. Like when we lived at Turkey Creek, they would compete about who could shoot out the most copperheads from the rafters of the old tobacco barn on the property where we lived. That's where we had the squadron yard parties and the barbecues and stuff. And we would have the whole squad come out. It was fun. We found ways of having fun. And then Mom was also like on softball leagues in the community, and we got together as a community at the softball games. So she knew the community that way. So it was a part of family community ways there around Sneeds Ferry. Because Sneeds Ferry was a tight-knit community, believe it or not. Despite having the military so close, they had an interesting clicking, because Mom worked at Riverview Cafe with those girls, and they saw her pregnant as a teenager and having her babies right there. Well, they took her right in and mothered her up. And then they saw me growing up. I was raised with Hammer Edens, and Johnny Wayne was like my brother, and Bonnie, Lily Murray, and all. I mean, it was just, yeah, I grew up running in and out Lorraine and Percy Jenkins, they'd sneak me poor boys and stuff. Mama would be like, y'all quit spoiling her. But I was so cute. They just, anyway, they did. I was, yeah. I considered Dale Patch. I called him Uncle Dale, and his wife was my first grade teacher. So I mean, I grew up with some wonderful Sam at Four Corners, the manager. I called him Uncle Sam. So yeah, I had an actual Uncle Sam. Anyway, and I called Uncle Jess was Guamanian, Aunt Carmen was Guamanian, Uncle Bugs was Italian. His name was Daniel. Bugs was his nickname, his call name. I can't remember what Uncle Jess's call name was, but that was Uncle Bugs. And then, yeah, I had a lot of interest. And Uncle Shannon was black as the ace of spades. But that was my uncle, and do we not look like family? My Aunt B, Aunt D, Doris, and Aunt Benita. And their babies called my mom Aunt Madam. Anyway. But yeah, okay, mothering. How Mom helped me in ways. Let me be able to mother my babies in ways that she needed mothered, as well as I needed mothered. That's how my mom, during that post-traumatic stress disorder that we were born into, bad, and trying to overcome as we mothered ourselves, because Mom became a mom pretty young too. And her and Dad got married. Yeah. And Chris and Scott's 7 and 5 years older than me. So they got married, and then Dad went to Vietnam. Dad signed up before the conflict. Stuff started going down, and Dad, because he was born in 44, Mom was born in 45. I was born in 1969, February 25th, 1969. Happy birthday to me! Yeah. And Dad told her, we're not stopping until I get my girl. And I'm the happy homecoming result of Dad making it back from Vietnam. And the only thing he ever told me is that he cleared the roads. And he never would watch anything like Good Morning Vietnam or anything like that to do with the Vietnam conflict. Nothing at all would he ever know. But we would watch MASH. Loved watching MASH with Dad. And he watched things to do with like the Civil War. Like he and I watched Dances with Wolves was one of his very favorites. He could watch things like that. And the only thing he would ever tell me about Vietnam was, I said, Daddy, what do you mean cleared the roads? So that's all he told me was he cleared the roads when he was over there. Because I wanted to know more about it, because... Hold on, I'll show you. This is all I ever saw of my dad. Was... Maybe you can see it. So one of these days I'm going to get it repaired. This is from when he was over in Vietnam. And that was his motorcycle that he rode while he was over there. I guess he had a family he visited, or a mama son. And I think that he got her pregnant while he was over there. I don't know. I think that's what my mom thinks. I don't know. But I know that while he was over there, he would ride his motorcycle wherever when he wasn't clearing the roads. And the only thing he told me about clearing the roads was, I said, Daddy, what does it mean you cleared the roads? And he said, and he got that 100-million-mile stare. And he got this energy about him, that no trespass energy, that whoosh, that I recognized. It was like a guarded gate thing coming down on his emotions. And he said, Michelle, I cleared the roads. And I was like, ooh, okay, Daddy. Alright, I won't. And that was letting me know whatever I had to imagine that meant then. Where a pathway had to be made and clear for his brothers to safely follow, that's what he had to do. I guess, I don't know. But anyway, while he was taking care of all of that, Mom was holding the fort down best she could. Raising the babies like we're supposed to. Trying to make sure that she was keeping the home a nurturing place, so when he returned home, that we are their peace. And yet somehow, some way, when you get so caught in that loop, when you come back and you involve the alcohol to try to cope as a coping mechanism. And yet, going to the staff club really was where they got together and were able to help one another through times that weren't making sense, that they would not be able to function outside of in a civilian manner that others could understand, because others hadn't witnessed the things that they had and were privy to. So yeah, Dad kept a lid on things pretty amazing. Yes, he did. And so did my mom. Mind over matter things, yes they did. They made an excellent team, mind over matter in some things. And keeping us kids distracted with fishing and stuff, and giving us those things when the family life, when we weren't doing those things, was crap. Especially when they involved money. Good Lord, they did not manage the money well. And they fought over it, and the alcohol, and it was horrible. And Mom wasn't perfect. She had her gambling addictions too, so, which I never made sense of either one of that. So I chose not to participate in that. That was them, not me. So their lessons to learn, not mine. So in that aspect, I'm very much both their daughters and very proud. And my mom afforded me the opportunity to be able to help mother my babies in a way that she wasn't able to help mother me, or that her mother was able to help mother her. So when I was in the position that my daughter was without a vehicle, and I actually was, well, it's like, well, crap, I am home. It was during COVID and the lockdown. I got this vehicle out here. I'm not going anywhere anyway. Let me just be able to let you drive my car. If I need to get it back, I'll get it back from you. And I was able to do that. So one of these days it'll be paid forward. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, and not let, it says the left hand's not supposed to let the right hand know what it's doing. You're supposed to trust and have faith that God is moving and taking care of the bad stuff while you're focusing on the good. I'm not stressing, worrying about stuff I can't, like my car being broke down right now. Well, maybe it's happening to me because, I was prescribed a new medication that maybe God doesn't want me taking that. I don't know, because it's the timing of it. It's like I keep getting notifications. The only notifications I get on my phone is that medicine's ready. Do I wish it was love messages from a husband that's showing up and wants to participate in the husbandly fashion? Sure, I wish it was that. Hey, sexy, I love you. Is it? No. Alright, well, then I just haven't met the one that wants to do that, so that's okay. Free will and all. So one of these days, I'm healthy enough now that if it happens, great. If not, I'm good. So, but yeah, I can't worry about the car getting fixed. The bank card, I'm calling the bank yesterday. I guess I set off all the alarms yesterday at that little bank. I guess I insulted all of their integrity and honor when I pointed out that I'm still waiting for her to call me back, Miss Lisa of the laryngitis. I'm sorry. Whatever her name was. I've just been referring to her as Lisa of laryngitis because whoever it was said that they have laryngitis and that they would call me back, and that was months ago, and they still, every time I call and I get told, well, Lisa will call you back. Ever since the laryngitis thing, I've referred to them as Lisa of laryngitis. Anyway, and this guy is a small enough office that there is no way that her out there laughing and being spiteful and malicious and overhearing the things that I have overheard. There is no way that if he's doing his job properly that he would keep exposing the clients to such mismanagement and nasty, spiteful maliciousness. You did say that you were going to call her back. As a good customer service representative, did you call her back? No, you didn't. Let's listen back to this recording. You did repeat to her, yes, it is being mailed to your address. She did say, okay, well, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to give it a couple more days before I call y'all back. Hopefully I won't have to talk to you again. She did say that. Oh. And yet you canceled her card and now we're having to reorder it? That is not good customer service, ma'am. Lisa of laryngitis. She does have a right to be upset. And no, you're not a good representative of this company, and I don't think that you should be allowed to continue here. So my mom's encouraging me to call the Better Business Bureau, and I don't want to have to go that route. They should have honesty and integrity. Anyway. So now I gotta... Is my bank card coming through? And if it does come through, I'm going to have access to it. Or is he going to stand by his laziness of allowing that to continue going on? Because he was witness to it. There is no way in that small space that he cannot know that she was acting. And because... Did she call me back? No. Was it recorded several times? Did she have that girl tell me several times, tell her I will call her back? Did she? No. Is it me being a nasty Karen? No. Is it a restatement of facts? Yes. Anyway, I'm not going to let that stress me into another heart attack. And that's exactly one of the things that I said on the phone. Because it just is weird. It's like the timing of this all coming when I am without water, without a way to go get food, without a way to get my car fixed, really without the funding to be able to do that, especially when my card keeps getting messed with. And my son says, get an Uber to come help you. Takes money. Anyway, I will figure it out. There's a creek down here. I will tote water. Our ancestors were able to do that, so I'll figure it out to myself. Anyway, I'm not boo-hooing. I am just trying to honestly... It's happening for us, not to us. So Mama had it much worse than we did. I do believe, I think. But in some ways a lot better, I guess. She had a whole boatload of brothers and sisters to help hunt and fish, and I ain't got nobody. I got Grayson. I got my phone and my computer, and once in a while I get to talk to my mom and my aunt, my son. Other than that, well, social media really ain't social anymore, sadly. Anyway, I love y'all. I hope that y'all are loving you and having a blessed Valentine's Day and getting to do wonderful things and staying in your peace. Don't let nobody bring you out of your peace, babies. Be kind, starting with yourselves. Love, 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 love. Mucho love.